Okay, so let me bring you officially to the platform. Lilian, thank you for joining, and thank you for everyone else that is already on the call. For our guest, maybe you just want to begin preparing your writing materials. There are going to be nuggets here. There's going to be something for you to take away. So you want to be ready with a pen and a paper. Other than that, I hope you've had a beautiful day. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We are so excited to have you, and we hope this conversation is going to be an impactful one. It's a beautiful evening. Okay, so I think it's a good time to officially start our webinar for the day. So good afternoon again, everyone, and welcome to this powerful session on a concept that doesn't just shape what we do, but actually shapes who we become: intentionality. My name is Dottie, and I'm so honored, I'm so excited to be our host for this conversation today, and I hope that we are going to have an impactful time. You know, we live at a time when it is so easy to be caught up in the grind, responding instead of directing, surviving instead of living. But today we are here to explore what happens when we live, lead, and grow on purpose. Why? Because intentionality matters. So thank you for joining us. This broadcast or this webinar is brought to you by Zion Pearl Publishers. And therefore, before we delve into our conversation of the day, I want to bring the founder and director of Zion Pearl, Mr. Dooso Radido, who is also the founder of the She Leads project, under which this webinar is happening, to just say something briefly about the project and our subject of discussion today. Mr. Dooso, you're welcome.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Please let me know if you can hear me and you can see me.
And see you.
All right. Thank you so much. As has been said, my name is Dooso Radido. I am the founder and director of Zion Pearl Publishers. And today, by the grace of God, we get an opportunity to join this amazing conversation and get to hear from one of the speakers that we have lined for today, who happens to be an author of a book that we are about to launch in a few days' time. And I don't think there's anybody who is more excited than me, because I am just here witnessing the birth of the things we've been talking about and planning about. And today we are seeing the reality of it, and it is so exciting to be here to witness this. So I just want to give us a brief about what the project is about and what we hope to achieve with this, and what we've been able to achieve so far, and why we are even excited about this. So the background of this all is that we are riding on the ongoing conversation about the need for inclusive leadership. And when I talk about inclusive leadership, we are so much leaning towards the role of women in leadership. And we think this is a very valuable thing to realize, because women represent a very huge resource that is yet to be fully tapped. I know there are sectors and organizations that have really capitalized on the resourcefulness of their women, but if you look at it from a general standpoint, we still have some work to do around that. And I am saying that because as I speak to you today, there is a lot of progress that is happening on that front, which is quite impressive. So the goal is to rally as many many women as possible, and if possible, all of them, to be able to bring onto the table their resourcefulness and contribute to the overall growth and development agenda that we are talking about. As this happens on a larger scale, it affects us even on lower scales like family level, community level, organizational level, department level, etc. And we get to enjoy a lot more from their creativity, from their ingenuity, and from the competence, and of course, generally the resourcefulness that they carry. So in that spirit, we have been able to engage a growing number of women who are very active on the corporate front, to be able to tap from what they know, from their wisdom, to be able to document that and use that as a reference tool for other people, and also as a tactical, guiding instrument for people who want to know how to navigate those spaces. This is happening on the backdrop of the fact that we do not have a lot of literature that has previously been documented by women leaders from our space. And I'm saying that because since we began, we are beginning to rewrite that reality. We are beginning to reconfigure the facts, so that today we have a lot of literature that has been documented by women we know. They are still alive. All of them are still alive. They are accessible. Their voices can be heard in other places, and they are continuing to impact the spaces that they are working in. So that today we have books that have been written. And the reason why we are gathering here today is because there is yet another book by yet another cohort of 10 very astute women leaders, people of influence and impact, who are willing to share from their experiences and from their wisdom, so that their voices can be immortalized, and their voices can also be used to challenge other women and to inform the leadership practice, and also leadership policies, and where possible, the training of leadership. So today we are gathered here because this group of women have brought their thoughts together around the subject of intentionality, and why this is very important. Because at the point where action is taking place, people who are driven by the spirit of intentionality or the discipline of intentionality are doing better than others. So we want to position intentionality as a strategy of leadership, or as a discipline for success, for people who are keen on creating impact, or for people who are looking for ways of contributing value in the spaces that they are in. And there is no better place to get that than from the people who are actually living the reality of intentionality, and have demonstrated through that the results that can be produced, and the value of that in terms of how it has pushed them upwards, and also how it has contributed to the spaces that they are working in. So today we have one of those authors who is joining us in a series of webinars that we're going to be having here in the next couple of weeks. And the intention of this is to allow ourselves to begin to hear from them, and also to begin to stir the waters, even as we get ready for the launch of the book, which is scheduled for 21st of June. And I know details are going to be shared as we continue the conversation today. So mine is to welcome you and to thank you for sparing time to be part of this conversation. If you're listening to us live, or if you'll be listening to it later, to thank you also for the conversation. My hope is that you'll be able to pick useful tips, and if you're a woman, use them to be able to create progress and generate more value than you have done before. And if you're a man, use it to be able to do more, and hopefully you can also be able to support women around you, because when we win together, we win better than when we win individually or as specific genders and leaving some other people outside. So without much ado, I will hand the meeting back to Dottie so that we can delve into the juice of the discussion today. And I'm hoping that you'll all enjoy yourself and carry useful tips from this conversation today. Thank you so very much, and welcome everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Doso, for laying the foundation for us. We now know exactly where we are coming from and why we are here. And now at this point, just like Mr. Doso has said, that our guest today is one of the authors of one of the anthologies published by Zion Pearl Publishers. This is what the book looks like. This is what the book actually looks like. This is Why Intentionality Matters. And our guest for this conversation is one of the authors featured in this book. So I want us at this point to help me bring to us Lilian Machanga, a woman who leads with intentionality. She lives with intentionality, she leads with intentionality, and I know we're going to get great. Lilian, at this we are so honored to have you. Before we jump into the conversation, I would request you to kindly introduce yourself. Let us know everything about you that you would want us to know before we begin to engage in the conversation. Karibu sana, Lilian. Can you hear me? So as we are waiting for Lilian probably to get her internet working right, it's like, are you able to hear me, Lilian? So just like Mr. Dawson has mentioned, we are looking forward to launching this book, Why Intentionality Matters, on the 21st of June at the Trademark Enaki Hotel. So we are inviting you to be part of that celebration and that experience. We are going to have more authors who are part of, the people who have contributed to this book, and we know that there's going to be a great impact from the conversation that will happen on that day. If you're just joining us, you're very welcome. We are having our speaker come to speak to us in a few. So you want to stay on. If you want to make sure you get something from this meeting, you want to have your writing materials, get your book, get your pen. This is just one of the many books that have been published under Zion Pearl. There are several anthologies done by these astute women, these thought leaders, just sharing their resourcefulness with us all. So this is just but one of them. We have another one that is coming immediately after this in a week or so. We'll be having another book, another title also being launched. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today. This is going to be a very relaxed conversation. Feel free to air your questions. Feel free to post something in the chat. If you need anything attended to in terms of a question, feel free to also share it there. And because I know, Lilian, you're back and your video is kinda vertical instead of horizontal. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Mr. Dosso, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think we have lost Lilian, and being equally an expert in the subject matter, maybe you can say something about our subject of discussion today.
Well, thank you so very much, Dottie, for calling me back. I think for me, intentionality is a central discipline of effectiveness. Whether you want to see that effectiveness in your personal life, in your career, in your ministry, if you're a ministry person, in your family, if you're running a family, or in your institution, if you're a leader, Intentionality is one of the drivers of focus and productivity. Anywhere intentionality shows up, you will actually see the sister disciplines of focus, sister disciplines of drive, and you'll also definitely see plenty of results or progress. Intentionality basically means determining either by yourself or through the system that you're working in or the leadership that you're subjecting yourself under, to initiate certain actions, to maintain certain elements of consistency, and to move in a particular direction in a consistent way until certain results are produced and maintained. So that by saying this, intentionality is not just a one-time event. Many people who are building disciplines of intentionality are not doing a one-time thing. And that is why if you look at the book, the cover of the book, it has what we are calling the circle of intentionality. You're moving from one level to another level. And then when you get to another level, you are beginning to trigger yourself again to move to another level. And the reason why this is very important is because the point at which you stop being intentional becomes the point at which you stagnate or you begin to retrogress or even to veer off the way or veer off the mark. So intentionality now becomes a continuous discipline. It's a continuous discipline that produces continuous growth, that produces continuous, maintaining of certain standards or maintaining of certain directions for people who want that. Now, people who have discovered the miracle of intentionality are actually making it a habit, or they're trying to institutionalize that. In an organization, you may institutionalize that by either putting up systems or programs or building a culture that encourages intentionality or that makes sure that intentionality is thriving there. The heart of intentionality is the willingness of an individual or the willingness of an organization to take the responsibility to be at the forefront of action. Intentionality is powered by the spirit that says, I am okay with being in charge. I am okay with starting this thing. I am okay with being responsible for the results that I am looking at, or being responsible for the consequences that are going to result out of that. And therefore, there is a mindset to intentionality. There is a will to intentionality. There is an emotional preparedness behind intentionality. But importantly, there is a skill set behind intentionality. If you desire intentionality and you do not have the skill or the hardware upon which that can run, then you'll begin to be frustrated. So people who are intentional are actually looking at it from a multifaceted way. You don't just think it, but you're able to do it as well. You're able to action it as well. Because a lot of us fail at the point of action. We desire things in our hearts, we imagine things in our minds, but at the level of skill, at the level of competence, at the level of system, or at the level of hardware, we do not have a platform upon which these things we are desiring can actually operate or can run. And one thing I want to say about intentionality is that intentionality is possible for everybody, but it is not a common thing. It is not a common thing because it's a discipline. And there is the labor of delivering the elements of intentionality because it's a daily thing. It is a consistent thing. It is something that requires a lot of investment on a continuous basis. And therefore, very many people who run away from it and surrender themselves to natural drifting are doing that because they do not have the stamina to stay in it, or they do not have the discipline or the consistency to continue, to remain plugged into the dynamics of intentionality. But it is possible for everybody. And as I said earlier, people who have discovered the miracle of intentionality are trying to apply it across every aspect of their life. They're intentional about what they're thinking. They're intentional about what they are saying. They're intentional about what they are watching. They're intentional about who they are listening to and what they are listening to and how they are listening to things. They're also intentional about the directions they are taking. They're intentional about the actions they are taking today because they are keen on the results they are expecting to see tomorrow. They are building foundations today because they know that the future that they are going to step into will depend on the foundations that they are laying today. They are very intentional about who they are choosing to be in their networks. They don't become friends with everybody. They are very choosy in terms of who they are allowing into their spaces and who they are not allowing into their spaces. They're intentional about personal development. They don't let any day come and go and leave them the same way that it found them. They're growing their minds. They're growing their understanding. They're building their skills. They are very intentional about their health. They're eating well. They're sleeping well. They are doing physical exercises. They are visiting the doctor's place for medical checkup and stuff like that. They are deploying intentionality across the board. Because in my opinion, once you master intentionality in one area of your life, then it is possible for you to deploy the same in other areas of your life. And therefore, growth for you would look like the extent to which you are deploying intentionality in the different faculties of your life, or in the different faculties of your institution, or the different faculties of the things that you consider very important for you. Now, the people who are thriving today are people who began their yesterday with intentionality. The people who will thrive tomorrow are the people who are actually deploying the dynamics of intentionality today. So what happens when you don't activate intentionality? The most natural thing that happens to you is you experience what we call the natural drift. Natural drift is allowing yourself to be blown by the winds of life. So if people are saying yes, you are going with their yeses. If people are saying no, you are going with their no's. If people are making a stop, you are stopping. If people are destroying things, you're destroying. If people are wasting their lives in riotous living, you're also going by the wind, so you drift. Number two, you become very weak in your value system, because it takes intentionality for you to build a value system that becomes the basis upon which you're running your life. And so if you are not intentional, one of the areas that gets seriously eroded in your life is your value system. Therefore, that means you do not have a value set that becomes the things you have determined to guide your life. You can pick anybody's value. And you know, the way we live, we are under constant bombardment of forces of life. There are negative forces that are coming to destroy our lives, and therefore you must counter that with positive forces. There are forces of ignorance that are coming to erode your knowledge or destroy your appetite for knowledge building, and therefore you have to be very aggressive against forces of ignorance. There are forces of laziness that are coming to mess up with your diligent life. There are forces of mediocrity that are coming to destroy the structures of excellence that you have built around yourself. So life is actually a battle between forces. There are forces of retrogression that are trying to stop you from making progress. There are forces of pulling down that are trying to prevent you from rising up. And therefore, at the point you stop applying effort, applying intentionality, that is where you begin to drift, you begin to erode, and you begin to weaken even in your value system. And of course, if you don't apply intentionality in your life, in your career, and the different aspects of the important aspects of your life, you will actually begin to see results are dwindling, and you'll actually begin to see that things are worsening. Life is designed in such a way that when you stop caring when you stop caring for certain things, they begin to erode. And that's the reason why your house will naturally become dusty even if you lock it up. The day you stop wiping surfaces and polishing up surfaces, you'll actually realize that dust is settling on things, because that is how life is designed. Life is designed to settle dust on things, and therefore you must constantly be polishing things, sharpening things, arranging things, organizing things, so that they don't begin to collect dust and look like they are out of place. So as you can see, intentionality is very important, and it is required in almost every aspect of our lives. And that is why we are intentionally gathering here today, so that we can sharpen each other with the insights and the knowledge that we've been able to gather along the way, and help ourselves to make good progress and deliver good results in the different aspects of our lives. Allow me to stop there, because I've seen Lilian is already back here, and I want her to take over and continue to bless us with the insights that she has. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doso. I picked one thing, that intentionality is not common. It's not a common thing because it is a discipline. Actually, before you hand over, I just wanted to ask you, at what point did you realize that intentionality actually matters?
Well, for me, I didn't realize. It was forced on me. My mom was very aggressive, and she was the strict disciplinarian of the house. So when we were refusing to brush our teeth after eating, she would knock our head and tell us, that is stupidity, you must go and brush. So for me, I was provoked into it. And that's the beauty of surrounding yourself, or being surrounded by people who are actually practicing intentionality. Because sometimes you show up and you don't know that it is very important. And like it is for many of us, most of us do not know what are the important things of life. You have to be told by somebody who's gone ahead of you, either a leader, a mentor, a coach, or a good parent, if you are blessed to have a good parent, or a guardian, or even friends. Sometimes you have very good friends who will tell you, by the way, you need to start reading books, or you need to start doing physical exercises. So for me, I didn't discover. It was forced on me, because they looked at me and they felt like, this one is going to take long before he discovers that this thing is a valuable discipline. So they knocked it into my life, and thank God I was able to see it and pick it. And today, now that becomes one of the disciplines by which I run my life.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Lilian, we have Lilian back with us. Welcome again, Lilian. Are you okay now? Can you hear me? Lilian, are you there? It looks like we lost her again. Are you there, Lilian? Okay.
Yeah,
so while Lilian is settling. Hello, Lilian. She seems to be having challenges with her connectivity or something. But because we have Mr. Doso here, we are going to continue. So, Mr. Doso, I have a question for you that probably may help us to get to understand, even in depth, this subject matter of intentionality. What one area of your life have you seen the biggest difference acting with intentionality versus just going with the flow? You've talked about those who just do everything else because people are doing, and those who are very intentional with the decisions they make, how they speak, how they eat, and how they do things. What one area of your life can you attest to this subject of intentionality having made a difference?
Well, I think for me, personal development has really, really exponentially benefited from intentionality. Now, I think everybody should be serious about personal development. There are certain people who believe that personal development is a cliche, is a bad cliche for baseless motivation, etc. But I think personal development is the driver that causes you to want to learn, to want to build skills, to want to improve on the areas that you are not doing very well, and to want to push yourself to the next level. So the day they introduced me, a friend of mine introduced me to self-driven personal development. And he told me, my friend, you have to be serious about building knowledge in the different areas of life that you want to create success. If you want success financially, build financial knowledge. If you want success relationally, build relational knowledge. If you want success with your business, build business knowledge. If you want success in your career, build career knowledge. And so from that day, he even told me, if you want success, if you want to experience spiritual success, build spiritual knowledge. And so I decided I am going to take personal development seriously. So every day for me is a personal development day. My mind has to be stretched. My spirit has to be nourished. My business has to benefit from me growing or learning something. I have to learn something about relationships. Currently, I'm reading about 4 different books because I am seriously building knowledge in a certain area that I think I am not doing very, very well. So I decided I am going to apply the same principle of intentionality. Now, intentionality means you don't wait for anybody to tell you. You don't wait for anybody to remind you. You don't wait for anybody to supervise you. You don't even wait for anybody to celebrate you. You actually do all those things by yourself at first. Later on, when you have become big and successful, people will gather around you to celebrate you, to learn from you, to enjoy the fruits of that with you. But at the heart of intentionality is actually the practice of self-leadership. Wake yourself up, guide yourself, remind yourself, rebuke yourself, instruct yourself, do these things by yourself. And if you do that, you actually enjoy more moments of leadership than when you wait for your department leader or your mentor or your guardian or your parent to follow you. So for me, the area that has benefited the most from intentionality is personal development. And of course, this one touches almost every aspect of my life. And I think that's a very powerful way of living.
Thank you, Mr. Dosso. Great insights there. Lilian, can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so Mr. Dosso, it's looked like you're stepping up for us today, and thank you for the great insights you're sharing. Can intentionality be overwhelming? How does one manage intentionality? Can we be over-intentional? And does it have impact on the possible outcomes of the things that we do, negative or positive?
Well, I think intentionality, the spirit of intentionality is actually, it tends towards good, because behind this thing, there is the practice of making judgments about things, so that if you are given the option between good and wrong, you actually weigh the two, and then you intentionally or deliberately choose the good. That is why a lot of times intentionality tends towards good. But of course, there are people who are using intentionality to produce evil or to produce wrong, so that they constantly drift deliberately, intentionally drift towards the wrong. For example, if you do organized crime, you are deliberately planning, deliberately strategizing and looking for ways to succeed in your evil venture, and therefore that ends you in that direction. I wouldn't say that intentionality can be overwhelming. When you master intentionality, it becomes natural. It's like the way we are speaking English today. When they gave birth to us, we were not speaking this language. We didn't even have a language. We just babbled like children do babble, and chewed our tongue, and we were just clueless of what's going on. But now, because we have mastered the language, it is not overwhelming to speak it. It is natural to speak it. And it becomes an exciting thing to use it, because now it becomes an instrument of communication. So the people who have built intentionality have naturalized intentionality, now they don't even know that they are being intentional because it is now a habitual thing. It has become a second nature. They now wake up and do their thing without feeling the weight of it or without feeling the labor of it, because it's now become very natural. Like right now as I speak, I don't feel like I am getting tired to speak. Actually, the more I speak, the more I feel like I should be speaking because it's exciting. It gives me an opportunity to express myself. Therefore, it doesn't burden. It naturalizes itself and it helps you to become more effective by the day.
That's great. I was just thinking, probably likening intentionality to ambition. And just like someone can be over ambitious, someone probably could be over intentional. And was thinking, could that have a negative impact on someone? How do you relate the two, intentionality and ambition?
Ambition, to me, is almost similar to drive. Some people may call drive passion or stuff like that. Now, intentionality is powered. It's a discipline that is powered. Just like excellence is powered by passion or by certain interests or certain drives. So intentionality is powered by drive or interest. Sometimes we pick our drives from interest. Sometimes we pick our drives from running away from certain negative consequences. For example, there are people who are running away from poverty. And so they work hard because they are running away from poverty. Yet there are some other people who are working hard because they are chasing the wealth. They were not poor. They don't have a problem. I mean, they are not in lack of anything. What they are excited about is the prospect of being wealthy. So their working hard is inspired by the chase of wealth. And there are other people who are working hard because they are running away from poverty, because maybe they have had poverty in the past. And so intentionality is powered by drive. It can be powered by passion. It can also be powered by interest. But it can also be powered by the desire to avoid certain negative consequences. You know, if you live in Nairobi, for example, Nairobi is a city, it's an expensive city. Everything in Nairobi is billable. Your water is billable, your airtime is billable, your movement is billable. I mean, you have to pay some money to move a few things here and there. And therefore, many people who are in the city are consciously aware of the bills. So if you ask somebody, why are you hustling this hard? They tell you, I have to settle the bills. So it's like bills are waking people out of sleep. Bills are causing people to be very aggressive and to look for opportunities, etc. So their drive is actually the negative consequences of being in a situation where they are not able to attend to their bills. So that's the same thing that happens with intentionality. You could be driven by passion for certain things, or you could be driven by desire to run away from certain consequences that you do not want to experience with your life. But whether running away from things or chasing things, as long as you use that force appropriately and you use it to power intentionality, then you will actually build the disciplines of intentionality and hopefully be able to realize the results that you desire.
Thank you for that, Mr. Dosso. I think you have attended to that so well. And thanks to everyone who has joined us on this call. I can see a couple of people connected to this conversation. Feel free to use the chat box, drop in your questions. You have a compliment, drop it there, let us know you're here. We, of course, will give you some time to ask questions at a very specific time when we get to that allocation. Now, we are here because we have a book on the subject matter of the day. This is Why Intentionality Matters. And we are launching this book on the 21st of June at Trademark Inaki Hotel or Suites on Red Hill. So you are very much invited to be part of that celebrative event we'll be having the other authors joining in. So it won't just be one person talking about this subject, but so many others. So you'll get different perspectives from different experiences, and that will be a collection of great insights to also just help you to keep staying intentional or to begin being intentional. Thank you so much for making time to be with us here today. Already we have the books. The books are out. So if you're interested in getting one, you can let us know in the chats. We can arrange how you can get a copy. You can pay for it, and we can have it delivered to your location. Thank you once again for joining our conversation today. Now that we have Mr. Doso on the platform, Mr. Doso, help us understand. Have you ever set an intention that completely changed the direction or the outcome of something? And probably you can tell us a story around it. Have you ever set an intention, or have you ever been intentional about something that completely changed the direction or the outcome of that something? What was this, and how did it go?
Well, that's a very important question. I mean, since the day I learned the value of being disciplined and being focused and being driven, I just began to apply that. And I think for me, the most prominent example I can give, which I think was the beginning of many things that happened later on, is when I was just a young student in primary school, and there's a teacher who came to school. I went to one of those very poor performing schools. I went to a school called Pangani Primary in Nakuru. It is one of those schools that was built near the slum areas, of Nakuru. But then they brought us a teacher who came from one of those high-end schools, and he came and he began to tell us stories of success. And I think for me, if there is an individual that helped shape my life, is that teacher and the stories he told us. So he kept telling us it is possible to excel. It is possible to excel. He even changed the school motto, and he wrote, "It is possible to excel." So one time I was asking him, I believe what you have said, it is possible to excel. Now, can you show me how I can excel at my level with all this stupidity of mine and all this indisciplined nature of me and the poverty that I was coming from, etc. So he explained to me how to excel. So he told me all the subjects that you're undertaking. Of course, being a student, the most important thing is performing well in subjects. So he began to tell me, in every subject that you're doing, every time we do an exam, aim at adding at least 5 marks to the last marks that you scored in the previous exam. And you see, in a year, we used to do like 3 exams. So first term, second term, and third term. But when he came, he changed that. We started doing internal exams, so many, so that it gave us a lot of opportunities to improve. And he told us every exam is an opportunity to improve your marks. So in a term, we'll do even 6 to 10 exams, internal exams, and the teachers would mark them, and they would use that to show us how to improve the marks. By the time we were getting to the very final exam in primary school, we had actually improved and moving towards scoring A grades, and that is actually how I managed to get to a provincial school those days. I scored 510 out of 700 marks, so I secured a spot in Menengai High School in Nakuru. That was one of the best schools there, and that is how my life began to change. And so when I adopted that to my studies in high school and in college, etc., and that became my discipline even after that. Now intentionality has been a strategy that I've used to generate value. I can't even tell you any area of my life that has not benefited from the value of intentionality. Because as I said earlier, even today, I am still driven by that thing. I still stretch myself to learn, to develop, to improve, and do the many different things that God is helping me to do by the power of intentionality. Now, as I finish, I was just reflecting on Lilian's story, and I think she gave a story that almost looks like my story here. I'm going to read it. Allow me to read me just one paragraph. Lilian is saying in page 164 of the book, she wrote chapter 8 of the book. She says, looking back at my first defining moment for living intentionality must have been in 1998 after receiving the end of primary school examination results. Though I had not achieved the marks I anticipated, I scored 511 out of 17. She actually beat me by 1 mark because I scored 510. Which I believed was sufficient to secure a place at a prestigious provincial school. However, I had reservations about the high school I was initially assigned to attend due to several reasons. Convinced that I was destined for success and that part of learning was changing the environment, I discussed my concerns with my parents, and together we began searching for an alternative school. In February 1999, I reported to Pangani Girls School, continuing my journey towards an intentional life where I would actively shape my future rather than merely accepting circumstances. So you see, even her story has an example that is almost similar to mine. She was not happy with what was naturally being served to her. So she said, no, I'm not going that way. Let's move a few things here and there until I get something that can sufficiently bolster my capabilities or my chances of securing the kind of success that I want. And it worked for her, and we are glad. And that's the reason why she is the right person to talk to us about intentionality. And that is why she's featured in this amazing book.
Dottie, you're muted if you're trying to speak.
Dottie, we cannot hear you.
Dottie, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Lilian, I'm excited even to hear that you're able to speak now. So we can let the video be. You can go ahead and speak to us. We have been waiting so eagerly to get to glean from, what you have for us on this subject of intentionality. So, Karibu. Are you there, Lilian?
Dottie, and good evening here. Hear me?
A little shaky, but we can hear you. Maybe we can try for some time and see how it goes.
Okay. I think I want to put off the camera first and see if it's because I think it could be my internet connection. Then we can carry on that. Thank you, Dottie, for introducing the book that we are set to launch on the 21st. As Mr. Doso has alluded to, my name is Lilian Machanga. I'm an internal auditor by profession. Currently, I'm the head at Equity Life Assurance. And I've been doing this work for the past close to now 17, going to 18 years. And if I could give a brief of how I was convinced that to write about this topic when Zion Pal approached me, it was looking back. I'll be turning 40 later this year, and I think I've been in this season of reflecting. And what was interesting for me is to see how far I have come, and the reason why we've gotten here or I've gotten here is the small steps. So for me, intentionality means for you to have a vision or a purpose. I believe I'm a Christian, and I believe everyone was created for a reason and a purpose. So once you identify what your purpose and vision is in this life, then you're able to map out how you live your life. And what I have appreciated And I think that's where sometimes the noise gets to us. It's unpacking our vision and mission into biteable chunks that we can be able to do on a continuous basis. So tying it to what I do, internal audit, we believe that there's always room for continuous improvement. And it's the same rationale I apply in my life. So if I give an example of parenting, I cannot say that I'm a perfect parent, but I can say that I have been conscious about seeking knowledge in parenting and getting better. And getting better means you will make mistakes. And I think that is the price of success. In my book, I've said how I've given I've given insight on how I've learned from the mistakes that I've done in the past. And I always believe in one thing: you either win or you learn. So mistakes will be there, but you will learn from those mistakes, and you will forge your own. So that is me. Coming into this book, we are 10 ladies of us who have given perspectives from our own experiences of how intentional we have been in our lives. And myself, I've looked at, in my chapter, which, as Mr. Doso has mentioned, is chapter 8, looked at all spheres of my life. And this is, you can look at it from the perspective of career, family, financial literacy, and also financial management, and also other areas in terms of who are you as a family person, where are you in society. And what I have found to be interesting is once you're intentional, opportunities find you where you are. Yes.
Once you're intentional, opportunities find you where you are. That is powerful. Intentionality begets opportunities, I would say. Thank you, Lilian, and thank you for having you come speak to us. Now, Lilian, in your own life journey, what has, in a more elaborate way, what has intentionality meant to you? Maybe with some life experiences that can be helpful to the audience.
Intentionality for me has been sitting with myself every once so often. Prior to COVID times, I used to sit down in a restaurant every single month and sit down and see what have I done, what can I do better. But I think the period of COVID changed things a little bit. And now I'm doing it almost every other day. So what I do in the morning consistently is I will be driving to work without my radio on, without listening to any music. And that time is for me to process what are my goals for that day. Because it's the cumulative steps that help you achieve something. So I'll reflect the previous day, what could I have done better? Then that informs me, how do I tackle the day that is just about to start in terms of work. Another thing I have been intentional is with my relationship. I'm a parent to a preteen, and I've come to appreciate what he values most is time. And I've made that sacrifice. So every day I drop him to school, and it is our time together to be able to reflect how was the previous day, because our lives get busy. You could have gotten home the previous day very late. You didn't get to see your child or your children, and we bond. And then I figure out, has he done his homework? If he hasn't done his homework, then we'll make will be intentional in terms of the time I drop him to school to make sure that then he has time. The other thing I have been intentional with him is if I figure out he's struggling in a particular area, then I'm able to chat the teacher just to make sure that then someone is able to give him support to be able to excel in his studies.
Wow. Thank you for touching even on parenting and intentionality. I think I would want to hear your perspective on intentionality, application of intentionality in a workspace, how you relate with your colleagues, your team, the people beneath you, and the people that you report to. Lilian.
Thanks, Dottie. So my role is very interesting because an internal auditor will be interacting with everyone in the organization. And this is from the board level to executive management, to mid-level management, and also to basically everyone who is in the organization. So if I can tell you how I have been intentional in terms of growth in my career, I've always, when I joined the insurance industry, because that's where I have been for the past 16 years, I took 2 years to first understand the insurance business. I was then working for a company that was doing both life insurance, general insurance, medical insurance, and also doing asset management. That being a new field, I took time to, even before getting, I was already a CPA by the time I was graduating campus, but even before getting additional technical training, it's just to understand how do the different businesses operate. For us in internal audit, it's also very important to understand the mission and the vision of the organization, because what you're supposed to be doing as an internal auditor is to support, to ensure that all the activities then are going to help the organization achieve its mission and vision. So I first took the first 2 years to understand that space, and then have on-the-job training. I think on-the-job training is something that assists someone to be able to be effective in their roles. And how I did this is constantly seeking assignments that I would learn, assignments that were in areas where I was not experienced, but I would be mapped with a senior person who was experienced in the field. And because then you can be able to interact also with the people who are doing the actual work as you review their processes and their activities, then also sitting down with these people away from the audit process to understand how do they do the activities, and how can you be able, how I can be able to contribute to make their processes more efficient, to make their processes better, and to ensure that then they're able to meet, because it's a build-up, their functional strategic objectives filter or add up to what the organization is going to be able to achieve. So that's how I have been. When I got to a place I felt I want to get into management level, I asked for that opportunity. And what I did, because then that's required to have what we call board reporting, I would ask my then head of function that I would accompany him for board meetings, and I would sit there, and he would introduce me as a member of the team, but as an observer. So I attended a couple of meetings with him, and I was able to learn how he conducted himself, how he was able to answer to questions, how he was able to engage with management during the meeting, how he was able to engage with the directors. And then when I felt I had learned something, then that's how I transitioned to another organization. And then now I was doing the actual work, doing the audits and going all the way to reporting at board level. Also, it seems that we've lost Doti.
Yeah, looks like we've lost her, but I guess she could be making every effort to jump back. Dottie, if you can hear us, then you may want to try and get back so that we can continue to have you steer the conversation. But before she comes back, I must thank you, Lilian, so very much. One thing I like about your approach to the subject of intentionality is how authentic you have been since the beginning. Yeah, I don't know if you knew you were being intentional those days when you were young and asking for a change of things here and there. I don't know whether you knew it called intentionality, but of course, what you did were very, very strong. Well, very, very, very strong signals of somebody who is intentional. And that I was just saying before you joined in, I don't know if you heard what I said. People who are intentional in one area are most likely intentional in other areas of their lives as well. And I've listened to the way you are responding to the questions, and it's actually coming out to be true that you are applying the same with your friendships, with your work, with the way you are raising your children, etc. And it's therefore true that once somebody has mastered intentionality in one area of their life, they are able to apply it in other areas of their life. So reading through your story, of course, very authentic, very, very genuine. Somebody reads and sees themselves. When I read the bit of your primary school and the marks you scored, actually, because apparently you beat me by 1 point. You scored 511, I scored 510. That was very interesting. So it's good to have you in the conversation, and thank you so very much, Dottie, for coming back. I think Lilian is still in the call, so you can carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Doso, and thank you, Lilian. I have a question for the audience, and the audience includes everyone. In one word, how would you describe your life if you lived every day intentionally? In one word, just one word, no sentence, no explanation. How would you describe your life if you lived every day intentionally? You can make use of the chat box. You can drop in a word there that will describe you. Everyone is welcome to participate, including the speakers of the day. Probably will get to learn something from how you people describe your lives now that you are products of intentionality. So just make sure you also drop something in the chat box for everyone else to see. If you're just joining us, maybe watching us live on YouTube, or you're right in the call, we want to say thank you so much for taking time to be part of this conversation. We are actually looking at launching a book with the subject matter of our discussion today, and that is none other than Why Intentionality Matters. This is a book that has been co-authored by 10 women leaders who have shared their experiences, how they have lived their lives intentionally or with intentionalities. And this book will be launched on the 21st of June at the Trademark Suite in Naki. So we want to give a very special invitation to you to be part of that celebration. And also just to let you know that the book is already out. As you can see, I'm holding a copy. It's available on our online stores. If you're interested in getting a copy for yourself, you can let us know. Just drop us something in the chat, and we will arrange to get the copy to you. Thank you so much. So Lilian, what would you say intentionality looks like for you in matters time and energy in your normal day? How does intentionality look like for you in matters time and management? Mr. Doso just said that intentional people are intentional about everything. How they plan their day, what they eat, what they do, how they talk, how they dress, and everything. What does this look like for you, Lilian? Is she even there? I think I lost her again.
It's like she's dropped off, but I know she's making every effort to come back.
Yes, and as we wait for her to come back, I just want to acknowledge the presence of some of the co-authors. I can see Claire Munene has joined us. Claire, we are so honored to have you. Thank you for joining. Yes, and Lilian is back. So let me bring her to the stage. Lilian, I had a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Dottie.
Yeah, my question was, how does intentionality look like for you in matters, time, and energy in your daily living? You know, Mr. Dosso spoke to us earlier, and he was saying that intentional people are not just intentional about specific things. I also have a question around that because you see some people doing so well in certain areas, but not in other areas. So, Mr. Dosso, even before Lilian speaks, I think you'll have to come and really help us understand, is it possible to be intentional in one area and not in another area? And if that is not the case, can you justify that? So, Lilian, my question is, how does intentionality look like for you in your daily life in matters, time, and energy?
Thanks, Dottie. Intentionality in terms of time, um, for me means I'm very aware of what I need to spend my time and energy on. So, for instance, if I'm doing an audit, then my goal is, have I been able to identify the issues? Have I been able to communicate? Then anything else that is distracting me from achieving the goal, then I will let it go. And for me, it can be any even little thing, whether it's someone trying to get you into a side conversation that is not going to, that you feel, because it doesn't add up to the objective that you want to achieve, then you call it, that's an energy waster for me. And I normally say that it's very important to learn to protect your energy, because not everything requires your attention. Even not everything requires a response. Someone could send you an email. You're not being rude. It's just that whatever they are trying to engage you in is not a priority at the moment, because one thing that is always scarce is time. So being very aware what you want to spend your time in is very important. Yeah.
Okay, maybe just to get you maybe talk further around that. Do you mean like this would entail having like well organized schedules on a daily basis? At what point of the day do you have like your to-do list for the following day and things like that? Because from what I'm learning from you people, I'm getting to realize that intentionality also involves having your day planned ahead of time. So you as a person who has lived intentionally, maybe if we can learn something from your routine, at what point do you plan the day that is coming ahead of you, or do you plan the whole week in advance? How do you go about it?
Thanks, Dottie. For me, different approaches work. There are things that I plan well into advance, a week or even a month into. And this will be scheduling, for instance, audits, because I'm guided by an audit plan. And an audit plan will have the time frame of when a particular activity is supposed to be done. In terms of now breaking it down at a day-to-day level, then that planning for me works well in the morning. My mind is fresh. Before I get to the office, I will drive to work in silence, organizing my thoughts and my plans for the day. Once I get to the office, then now it is starting to implement. Other things that I plan well in advance would be either engaging, visiting my family, visiting my friends. That one, anything that requires collaboration with other people will be planned in advance. But what is within my control, I find when I put it into bite size, which is day by day, today, what do I want to achieve? Then that becomes manageable.
Thank you, Lilian. I think one thing I've picked from what you have said, particularly about things that needs collaboration, is having the other person in mind. That is being very intentional. That your schedules do not interfere with the other person's schedule, and so everything has to be done well in advance. That is making sense for me. You realize that sometimes you plan things with people, or people plan things with you while they've been planning for a month. They want to bring you on board 2 days to the event or 2 days to the activity. I think it's important that we get intentional when we do things that involve other people. Thank you so much for that, Lilian. Mr. Doso, I'm back to you on this matter of once intentional, always intentional. But my question or my concern is maybe looking at my own experience, there are times that I've been really intentional on certain matters, but failed to be intentional about others. Could that be a sign of me still growing intentionality, or is it even possible for people who have mastered intentionality?
Well, that's a very powerful question, Toti. Like I said earlier, intentionality is driven. There is a force behind it. So it could be your intentionality is interest driven, or it could be your intentionality is powered by your passion or your excitement around certain things. It could also be powered by your aspirations or your desires, or it could be powered by you running away from certain things. So the things that you are interested in, the things that you are passionate about, the things that are aligned with your aspirations, most likely you will invest in yourself in those things. And so when you realize that you have a lot of drive when it comes to maybe reading books, creating networks, doing your business, etc., and maybe you do not have interest in maybe going to the gym. you don't like going to the gym, or you don't like public speaking, so you can't be intentional about that because those things are not aligning with your interest or your passion or your aspirations, etc. So that does not disqualify you from being intentional, because intentional does not operate in a vacuum. It operates within the bigger space of interest, aspiration, and you know, the different things that are happening. Because it's possible that while you are young, you are very intentional about physical fitness. But when you get married, now you lose interest in physical fitness. You're beginning to pay a lot more attention to how your children are growing up, etc. You realize that the same disciplines you used to drive yourself in a certain area, in a certain season, is the same you're using in a certain area, in a different area, and in a different season. So what I said by if you're able to master intentionality in one area, then it's possible for you to apply it in another area, is that once the disciplines have formed inside of you, and you know how to manage yourself, to handle yourself, to guide yourself in certain directions, then it is possible for you to activate that in certain other areas that you're either picking interest in or that you want to see results on. Now, that does not mean that you will be excellent in every area. It's not possible for somebody to be excellent in every area at a given time. Actually, we exercise what I call I'm forgetting the name, but this concept of applying yourself to a particular thing in a given time and in a given season, and then moving yourself in another area also in a different time, in a different season, because it's not possible for you to do everything all.
Looks like your audio stopped, Mr. Doso. I can't hear you unless it's only on my side, probably my internet. And
No, I also can't hear him.
Okay, you're frozen, Mr. Doso. So while we allow your internet to get back, I think, Lilian, maybe I have a question for you. And this is likely going to come from your experience in your career and what has transpired around your career path. Have you had some experiences of people who are very unintentional on some specific things that are probably ended badly? What are some of these, and are they things that probably one or all of us can be able to learn from? And maybe if I paraphrase it, what are some of the incidences of situations of unintentionalities that have happened in your career path with other people that ended up not in a good way?
Thanks, Dosi. I think one area that I'm very passionate about that I've seen is common to miss out is on financial management. You could have a very good career, doing very well in terms of you have a very good pay, but then because of a lack of knowledge and most importantly lack of discipline, then you're struggling in this other area. So that is one area that I have seen, and it's very interesting because the starting point of being intentional is working on your mindset, and doing an analysis to see where you are at and what I'd call gaps or challenges that you have. Then you know what you're working with. So for instances of what I'd call poor financial management, it's that lack of seeking knowledge and lack of seeking assessment, because more often than not, it's very easy to get comfortable because you have a paycheck coming in every month. Then you assume then it will still keep on coming. In our field, we say you should start planning for retirement as soon as you start working. But when you're telling a 25-year-old who's just joined who's just started his career or started his business to start putting money aside for retirement, then it may look like it's a far-fetched time in the future. So it is very possible to be doing well, to be intentional in some areas and be missing out. And I think for me, that's what I appreciate about the concept of wholesome living. Then you're not just driving your life in one particular direction. You're looking at yourself from a holistic perspective. Then you're able to see what spheres of your life do you want to work on and do you want to grow. And I think the other thing to know is you will pay attention depending on what is pressing at the moment. When I was starting out my career, I used to chase this thing called life-work balance. But now I can tell you for a fact that is non-existent to me, because different aspects of your life are going to be important at different particular times. Like I'll give an example of this week. My work, working on this project has taken a good chunk of my time. And it's because I felt we are coming towards the launch, then putting in effort was very important. So there are other areas of my life that have gotten affected, but because this is the priority at this particular time, priority was this launch and my work. So that's where my energy has been. Not that I won't go back. I think the most important thing in life is being able to reset and know that then you're almost, I was trying to avoid using the word balance, but still be intentional in showing up from a holistic perspective, but appreciating that you will apply effort to what is critical or crucial at any particular moment.
Profound. Thank you. Thank you for that, Lilian. So priority affects intentionality. Doesn't mean
Correct.
probably the things you're laying aside for the time are unimportant or you're unintentional about them, but you're prioritizing. So you take what is important at the moment and you can attend to the rest. I think I agree with you. Thank you for that. Now, even as we continue to have this conversation, it is important for us to know that we are talking about a subject that has been talked about in details in a book, Why Intentionality Matters, and the book is being launched on the 21st of June. We have this communication on our social media platform, Zion Pearl Publishers on LinkedIn, Zion Pearl Publishers Network on YouTube. Actually, we are live streaming on YouTube even right now. So if you visit our social media platforms, you'll be able to get a link. You can register to be part of the celebration that will be happening on the 21st of June at the Trademark Enaki Suites in the afternoon from 2 p.m. And because this launch is coming up, and I know Lilian is one of the people that will be present there as our guest speakers, just sharing more about this subject that they have written about. Lilian, what can you tell the people who are looking forward to be part of us on that day, to celebrate together with you? What can they expect? Other than just getting a copy of the book, is there more that our guests can be expectant of on the 21st of June?
Thanks, Dottie. I think the beauty of storytelling, which is what we've done with capturing our insights into the book, is we all get to learn from each other. So we are 10 of us, and we are from different spheres of our lives, different career settings, different family setups, different everything, upbringing, you name it. We are as diverse can be. So what I promise the audience is you are going to have a story that you're going to relate with. You're going to have the opportunity to network with other people and learn from them, and then also even us guys, we are going to learn from you because I believe learning never stops. You learn every day. Today there's something that I have learned, that technology can show you that's a proper one on a light note, but it's an opportunity to learn. The beauty of storytelling is we get to impact lives. So come ready to network, ready to learn, and we're also looking forward to learning from you. Yes.
Thank you, Lilian, for that invitation. So we are coming ready to network. We are coming ready to learn. We are coming ready to listen to those stories beyond the book. You know, the book probably might have not captured everything, but then getting these authors speak to us again is an extra opportunity for them to share more than what they have written in the book. So we are looking forward to joining you on that day and to celebrate with you. So we want to invite all people who are on this call, and even those who are going to watch this broadcast at a later time. We have availed a registration link on our various social media platforms. Please visit those platforms, sign in, and let us have you join us on the 21st of June as we celebrate these 10 thought leaders who have brought their insights together. Like Lilian has said, they're from diverse backgrounds with diverse experiences, because they're also from a very diverse career paths, and that is a good thing, because then you get to learn varieties of experiences that may just be helpful to your life, even as you walk around staying intentional or working on becoming intentional. So I also want to, at this point, just say a very special thank you to you, Lilian, for making time to be here. About the hitches we have experienced, it happens. It happens. And thank you for even the courage to just stay on until you manage to speak. We truly, truly appreciate that. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Doso for also just coming up and making sure that the conversation went on as it should. Thank you so much. I also want to give a very special thank you to the rest of the Zion Pal team who are behind the scenes. Not everyone can be on the screen, but we have people also who are also part of this conversation. Thank you so much for the work you do just to make sure that these conversations are happening. We are hopeful that internet is going to cooperate with us in the future conversation. So if you have been part of our conversation today, do not feel disappointed. You can plan to join in our next webinar that is coming up on the 29th, and we want to believe that things are going to be different because internet will cooperate with us. The registration link has been shared in the chat box. You can pick it, you can click on it, and immediately begin to register to be part of the celebration that is coming up on the 21st. Like I also said, we have the book available. Maybe you also want to share our numbers. My colleague on the other side is working to make sure that we get this information. You can just drop the Zion Pal number in the chat box for someone who is interested in the book and may want to give us a call so that we can begin to arrange the delivery as soon as now. the books are ready. So if you order today, pay today, probably we can arrange to have it delivered to you tomorrow. So watch out for that number. I'm waiting for the Zion Pearl number to be shared in the chat box. Thank you for whoever is doing that. Registration link is there on the form. You want to be part of the event, please register. So thank you so much for making time to be here. We are looking forward to hosting you again in our upcoming conversations. It will not end with why intentionality matters, because we also have a collection of other titles that are coming up. So at this point, allow me to bring our conversation to an end and promise you a great experience on the 21st of June at Trademark Suites in Naki as we celebrate the official release of the book, Why Intentionality Matters. My name is Dottie. It has been a pleasure moderating this session today. And again, let me emphasize, we promise you that we are looking forward to better connectivity in our next conversations. The internet issues are things we don't anticipate. Sometimes they come as much as we put everything in check, but we are grateful that you've stayed through, and this brings us to the end of our conversation today. Until next time, when we get to meet again for such a conversation, may you have a restful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dottie, for moderating. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Good evening.